which hasn't been run for a while, whilst I did all the work on the brakes, which are looking fantastic. Let's get the fuel going. So the brake job was quite extensive. Oh shit, there's fuel coming out. What's that doing? What is going on there? What is going on there? Just saw a whole pile of fuel come out the rear carb. I didn't touch that. Would have come out the overflow. Well, before I turn it on again, let me close both. That's tight. Let's see, the overflow is on the other side there, isn't it? Or is it here? Oh well, let's just turn it on and see what happens. Oh. So running down there. What the hell? That's weird. See if we can just sort of rest that somewhere, and then let's just turn the tap on and watch it. It must be that. Just going to confirm that. Yep, just pissing out of there. I can hear the slide going up and down. Okay, yes, obviously the issue would be to do with the floats. So I'm going to have to take the bowl off and have a quick look there. I do recall just the other day I read something about overflows, sorry, the fuel floats. Someone was saying somewhere on a forum about the floats filling up with fuel, the float itself, and causing it to not seal. I wonder if it's something like that. So I've just wheeled the bike back into the garage. I was just going for a ride, and it when I turned the fuel tap on this side, fuel came pissing out of the overflow. And so it took me a moment to think about what would do that, and obviously the float valve. That's the thing doing it. Now, funnily enough, just a couple of days ago, I was reading posts around the internet somewhere about God knows what, and I saw where someone was talking about these floats filling up with fuel, and I think he was talking about the white ones. You know, like maybe there's faulty ones or something. And so I thought, I wonder if that's happened. That'd be a heck of a coincidence. So I've come in here, wheeled the bike back in. I took the bowl off outside. But there's no fuel in there. But it's obviously quite stiff. It's not moving up and down freely. So that's a problem. So we're just going to have a look at that. And then we'll undo it here. I think we can just spin it around. And have a look. No, that hose is there. Do I need to pop the battery or take the whole thing out? I would have to take the whole thing out. Let's pop this off. These haven't been off since I did the job on the accelerator pumps. Well, they weren't off then either, since I did the job on the carbs, actually. On one of my videos quite some time back. Luckily, they're sliding off. So, I'll just bring this back, see what we're looking at. This is not really moving freely. It's improving slightly. Why would that start? Is it gumming up or what? Why would it do it now? Let's see. Short of disassembling it, it's just got some shit in it. Compressed air. Because what are they? It's a plastic tube and it has that rod down the middle of it. Yeah, it's not great. Definitely not. Oh well, let's pop it out. There we go. It's stiff even there. It's like it's expanded or something. That's weird. Gosh. That's quite stiff. What on earth would cause that? Everything's immaculately clean, and so the issue was it's just sitting too tight in here, in there. Would that have happened during assembly when I knocked this thing in, I wonder? This piece? But no, in my video we can all see where when I'm calibrating this, setting up this little piece here, it moves very freely. But it's definitely not clear to move freely now. Now obviously I can take a little bit off one end, but why would it need that? That is strange. It could be that that is a little bit further over. That worried me. I think in my video I even said I was concerned about that. You know, the one part I'd be concerned about breaking is when putting this thing back in, that would break off. Now the quickest fix is to take a little bit off one end of the plastic, or both ends. However, that means that the next time someone else puts one on, it'll be too tight. But of course, there's no way in hell I'm going to be bending that. Could take a bit off the inside. Another possibility here is to pull out my old ones, my old floats, and see what they fit like. So I can determine what's changed. So this is a box of parts I've replaced. That looks like carb parts. There's also unused parts, but mostly parts that have been replaced. There's an old float. See, these are the floats that were in it. The reason I replaced them was that they had the incorrect weight. They were 10 grams or 10.5 instead of 8.5s. And the new ones are 8.5s. There we go, 10 grams. So let's just see what that's like. Plenty of space. Plenty of space. So what's going on here? Oh yes, very different. It must have expanded. That is odd. 36.6. 37.1. Got to take a half a mil off. 37.1. So that new one is precisely the size of the space, and the old one is a half a millimeter smaller. So we're going to take off half a millimeter at the most. That might be just fine right there. $36.6. $36.59. And where's my little loop? There it is. Yep, that took it off. $36.69. There's a bit of fuel there from that spill. I need to remember to wipe that before I close up shop. Yeah, plenty of room. Everything's still clean, looks good. That's what it's supposed to be like, and anyone who saw my videos will remember that's what it does. Now here I can clamp like this a little bit because the spline tightens into this piece here, not into there. So I can give it a little bit of a tweak like that. If it's too tight, I think I did it in my other video, just use some pliers to squish down the spline a bit. It doesn't have to be tight because the float ball actually holds it in. This ball here, this edge here keeps that from coming out. So it doesn't really matter, it could just be loose. What else? Give everything another blow. I think I'm going to check the float height there, which, as we all know from my other video, is super easy to do. Well, it's easy to check, but, okay, 0. And, what was it, 17 and a half to 18 and a half. So we'll just go 18, right? Take that to 18. There we go. I'm going to lock that. So that means that's 18 from there to there. What I can do is let the float go like that. And all I'm trying to check is the distance from that, where it comes to rest, from there to there. I can do that by just holding that up. So I'll give it a flip. What I'm doing here is making sure it always comes back into the same spot, like there isn't a, like if you take it that way, it clearly doesn't stay a little bit more that way. There's no stiction is what I'm getting at. That one's spot on 18, and that one is, you know, 17.8 or something. I remember both sides were different. Okay, let's put the bowl back on. It's looking fine. Gasket looks fine. A little bit fluffy. A little bit fluffy. I'll tighten that once it's on. Yep, that goes that way. That goes that way. Okay, a little bit of a tweak. Now here, as I say, I just give it a very small, very minor tweak, and that holds it. I bought this. It's a snap-on. I bought this because I saw Brooke using it when he came around to do my bike, and he said it's his favorite tool. He's had it for decades, and so I thought I'm going to get myself one of those. And you tend to just have an 8 or a 10 on it with a universal joint, and get one that's smooth edge so you don't damage things. And it's useful for all these silly bolts and stuff that on a bevel are always in the wrong place. You know, your frame's in the way, that sort of thing. Yeah, this is handy. Very handy. It's one good reason to always close your fuel taps, because if that had not been closed, all that fuel could have been in the garage floor overnight. Alright, that's fine. I think I'll turn the bike around and I'll check the front one. I better do it. So first we'll see what all this looks like. So no problem there. Plenty of sideways movement. Plenty. That is weird. That is strange. I'll have to have a good think about that. And how that might have happened. Good. Well, maybe we can get on the road again now. Everything good on this side. Plugs, leads, throttle cable. Yep. All right, here we go. And good stuff. Well, I'm going to get dressed up again and we'll head out. Alright, here we go. Choke, bit of gas. Perfect. As always these days. Choke on. On. So now that that's all done, I thought I'd put an addendum on here to answer the question about, you know, what's going on with these floats. Is this mine? Is this a problem with my bike? Did I knock the little pivot points and bend them or something? You know, why is this happening? And if you go to Google, you'll get a bunch of posts about the fuel, half full of fuel and so on and so forth. If you have a look, those floats swell slightly, causing sticking problems. There. That's on Boxerworks, which is presumably a BMW site, and then further down here, someone else, Dellorto pissing gas when come to a stop. Well, that's my bike. They seem to swell. Let's just have a look at those posts here. I had two issues with the new white floats. The first set seemed to swell where the needle pivot was. The old floats had a steel pivot, the new ones are plastic. I filed the edge of the pivot off to allow it to move freely, which is exactly what I did. His second set of new floats, one of them filled up completely with fuel. And over here, the guy on the Boxer forum says, I bought the first version of those floats, but they swell slightly, causing sticking problems.
He now sells version 2, which appears to be working fine. Funny you should mention the swelling and sticking issue. That's what the original yellowish floats used to do. I had to remove a little material from the ends of the pivot tube to keep them from sticking. And so there we go. It's a known problem. I don't know if it's a known and resolved problem, but it's a known problem, and you can solve it yourself by checking your floats. I would suggest anyone who has installed these white floats, take your float bowls off and see if the float doesn't just bounce around freely, but actually has a little bit of play along the axis. Move it back and forth and make sure there's about 0.5 millimeter or so of play. And if there isn't, take it off, file some off, put it back in like that. I think that would be wise. So while I was here, there was another question I had at the back of my head, is what difference does the float weight make? And so I had a little quick search, and this came up here, and I thought this was a nice simple way of putting it. If you have a heavier float, obviously it sinks into the fuel slightly more, and so you set a different float height. That's it. Whether a heavier one has more mass and therefore it responds more slowly, I don't know if that's even an effect. But the main point is that they are meant to be adjusted the same in the end. So that's interesting too. All right, we'll leave it there. Like, subscribe, comment. Someone needs to comment sometime. All right, see you guys. Bye.